as real as it gets.
This is Nash Gruner, the son of Olivia Gruner, and you are listening to the UCW radio show, In Your Face.
The number you have reached, 911, has been changed to a non-published number.
You're listening to UCW Radio.
In your face.
Give it to me, baby.
All right, welcome to the UCW radio show, and this is a show, as you know, where we feature celebrities, entertainers, recording artists, up-and-comers, and so much more. Basically, some great people that are inspiring others. And now, before we bring on our next guest, I want to remind all of our listeners to make sure that you check out the latest edition of Money Never Sleeps, the magazine, and the UCW magazine. You can find both on UCWmagazine.com. A lot of great stuff going on with them, and we're featuring some great people in both magazines. Also, you can find the UCW radio show and Money Never Sleeps on iTunes, Stitcher, and many other distribution points online. Now, our next guest, she is an illustrator extraordinaire. She's been working on a lot of great projects, and I see this girl being something really big in the illustration world. Okay, so without further ado, let's bring on I'm going to call her the master illustrator, Ashley Teets, to the show. Ashley, welcome to the UCW radio show. How are you?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me. This is fantastic.
Thanks for coming on. I know that you're busy running around and creating these illustrations and doing all this crazy stuff.
I am.
Yeah. Why don't you let our listeners know, just give them a brief overview of who you are and what you do.
Okay, well, my name is Ashley Teets, and I am a native West Virginian. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in fine art from Alderson Broaddus College. It's a smaller liberal arts school in West Virginia. And my family has owned Headline Books Publishing Company my entire life, so I've kind of grown up around books and in the book industry and have just fallen in love with that type of work. And I've always been more geared towards the artistic side rather than the literary side. And so that kind of, pushed me to get my art degree. And when I was in college, I got my first book illustration job, and it was Season of Play by Deborah Benedetti. Was the first real children's book I was able to illustrate, and it was a fantastic experience. Learned a lot. And since then, I've started my own little illustration company, and it's just really taken off since then. I've illustrated 6 titles since then and won several Mom's Choice Awards and some USA News and Best Book Awards and Creative Child Magazine Awards, too. So it's been going really well so far.
All right. I wanted our listeners to get a good feel for what you're doing, not for you to take all my questions away, but that's okay, But look, I think that I've seen your work firsthand, so I know it's really good. And I don't think you autographed a book for me, or did you? You may have. I don't know. I don't remember. But now your family's been in the book business, and you said since you're born, pretty much.
Yes.
Okay, now, in doing that, I'm sure you've come across a lot of different authors and a lot of different, eclectic type of people with what you do.
Yes.
Why did you not go into writing when it seems like it would be a natural for you?
Well, it seems like it would be more expected, like you said, to go into writing. But ever since I was a kid, I've loved visuals. I've always been a visual person, a visual learner. And since I could pick up a crayon, I've been coloring and drawing. So it's just kind of a natural instinct for me to express myself through visuals as opposed to, like literary aspects. And I was fortunate to have received an artistic gift from probably my mother and my father. They're both very artistic. And I started to draw pencil portraits when I was a kid and kind of developed that technique. So that really led into me wanting to become an illustrator full time.
Okay, so now in doing that, you went to school. Obviously, you went to school for this.
I'm sorry, what?
I said you went to school for this.
Yes, I did. Alderson Broaddus is like I said, it's a smaller liberal arts college, and the art program was fantastic. It was very one-on-one, so I was able to work with my professors and also have a lot of time just with myself to develop my own techniques. And the way the program was structured, it was very personal. So I was able to kind of create projects that I wanted to work on. You know, that way you're more passionate about it and you want to work on it because you've developed it. Mm-hmm. And I think that, you know, being taught to develop my artistic technique in that way has helped me to become a better illustrator, because I'm able to take the words and, you know, formulate pictures from those words in my head and then express them visually.
Well, that's what a good art, actually, that's what a great artist does. They're able to tell a story with a picture.
Exactly. A picture's worth 1,000 words definitely rings true in my profession.
Yeah, well, I mean, because you have to, and in your case, you have to be a little different, because not only does your work have to tell a story, but it's telling a story within an actual story.
Exactly, and that's kind of the tricky part, because you do have to balance out what you're expressing visually with the literary content so that they match. You have to pay attention to details, like if the story says Sammy picks up the red bowl, if you illustrate a yellow bowl, you know, children will pick up on those subtle differences. So you've got to be very conscious about, you know, the story.
And do you think that, you know, you having, I'm going to call them constraints, because I don't have another word for it, but you having those constraints as you're developing the artwork for these books, do you think that hinders your creativity, or do you think that just creates a challenge that you feel that, hey, this is a challenge, I know I can actually do something even better than I thought?
Most definitely. You know, limitations inspire fantastic creativity. Oftentimes, especially in art classes, if the instructor says, just do something, do whatever you want, that is so much harder than, you know, setting out to complete a task that's set for you, like, you know, do this project on this medium, on this substrate, and, you know, just being able to really challenge yourself within those limitations leads to things that you would have never thought of to begin with.
And that's what makes what you do very interesting, because to be an illustrator for books and children's books, and you can, I mean, you're going to go over the things that you've done in a little while, you know, but being that type of artist, you know, not everyone could do that. It's not as easy as you think, though.
That's very true. Like a lot of professions, it's not as easy as it seems, because you do have to work very closely with the author. And in my case, whenever I work with the authors and the publisher, and a lot of times like a graphic designer to do the layout, it's definitely a team effort. And whenever I'm working specifically with the author, I want to create a book for them that they love, because they need to be as passionate about it, you know, after I'm done with it as they were in the beginning. And, you know, that will increase sales and they'll be happy, because a lot of times, you know, with writing, it's tough to put your stuff out there for the public, because, you know, critics and, you know, just life in general can be pretty tough sometimes, and it is hard. And that's why I admire so many authors and artists. You know, just to put your creative ideas out there is not always easy.
No, it's not, because you're putting yourself out there in a way that, you know, it's not just writing the book, it's in a different type of way, because you got to write the book, you got to again, if you're getting illustrations in there, then you have to get illustrations, but also you know, the marketing of this book. I mean, this is, I mean, it takes a lot of work to make something like that actually work out nicely for both the writer and the publishing company.
Exactly. You know, it's kind of like raising a child. It takes a village, and really, in our case, an army at sometimes, because you've got to get the product out there to the public, and, the best way to do that is via marketing. And now with social media, that's just really the way that we've been able to move sales and get our product out to the public in ways that, prior to this digital age wasn't possible. And it's just been a fantastic response. I know a lot of times people are saying that the paper form of books are, in trouble. And I mean, with ebooks and everything, that's just another outlet for creativity to be given to the public, and I just think it's fantastic.
Well, me personally, I'm a tech guy, so to speak, but I also like opening a book because it's the feel, the smell, and just holding it in your hand.
Exactly.
And then if you don't like something that's going on in the book, you can throw the book across the room. You can't do that with a Kindle. Doesn't work.
Exactly. Plus, it's more expensive. And you'll be so much more angry with yourself if you throw a Kindle.
Yeah, exactly. Throw the book, you can always pick it back up and go back to that page. You throw a Kindle, I don't think the lady from Amazon is going to come on your TV to help you. Sorry, I don't think that's going to work.
Unfortunately, no, it's probably not going to work that way. It may in a couple years with technology. You never know.
You never know. You throw it and it disappears. Who knows? Okay, so let me ask you this now. You said you got your first illustration gig for a book when you were in college. How did that come about?
It was actually through my mother's publishing company, Headline Books. She gets at least 25 to 50 submissions a week for manuscripts, and got this manuscript from Deborah Benedetti, and it was a children's book that she had titled Season of Play, and it was about how to get children outside and enjoy nature instead of, just sitting inside and watching TV, which, has its place as well, but there's a lot of fun things that you can do outside too. So the book talks about games you can play. In the back, we put instructions for a couple different games like hopscotch, and it was just such a fun and happy book. And I've always been a big outdoors person, hiking and spending time outside, playing outside, and she didn't have any artwork with it. And as my mother explained to her, it's a children's book, art's very important, do you have an illustrator in mind? And she said no. And I read the manuscript, and I decided that I was going to try my hand at this, and did a couple samples for her. That's generally how I work. I do a few samples, send it to the author, and they say, yes, that's perfect, wonderful, or no, I'm going to go with somebody else. And she really liked what I had done, my interpretation on it, and it just kind of happened from there.
And she just saw it, she loved it, she said, you're in.
Yes, I was in.
Okay, but that I guess from there you got the bug.
Yes.
Oh, well, you know what? It's really interesting how things happen, because
it is, isn't it? Yeah. And I'd always thought about being an illustrator full time, but I was working on my bachelor's in fine art, so I was more geared towards the abstract art world and, focusing on, gallery representation and everything. And so this just kind of all happened, and I just went with the flow. I'm a very go with the flow type person, so I'm glad that I made that choice.
Oh, you did, and it put you in an interesting position, because now that people see your work on bookshelves and everything, they look at it and say, well, maybe we need to call Ashley Teets and get her to do stuff for us, because you don't know where the work can come from. It can come from anywhere.
Exactly, and that's another wonderful thing about technology is you don't have to be in the same building or even the same state as the author that you're working with. One of the other titles I've illustrated recently is called Wally McBap Needs a Nap, and I've actually never met the author. So it's amazing what you can do over the computer.
It's like that movie In the Mouth of Madness. You really don't know who the author is until later in the movie.
Exactly, and that can be very mysterious and even more intriguing.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, so now what we're going to do, Ashley, we're going to take a little break. And then I want to, when we come back, I want to, talk more about the other jobs you've done, and then we're going to talk about, headline books and a few other things. So for our listeners, I want you to stay tuned, and we're going to be right back with you on the UCW Radio Show after these messages.
This is Chef Gavin Murphy with your 1-minute healthy cooking tip. For all my fellow fitness freaks out there, eating lean, high-protein meats like chicken, turkey, or even pork loin is part of our everyday diet. I get asked all the time, how do I make chicken breast juicy and not dry and overcooked? This is how. Season the breast with salt and pepper and sear in a drizzle of olive oil in a hot pan until golden on both sides. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees and place the breasts on a foiled oven tray. Pour 1 cup of chicken broth on the tray and pop it in the oven for 6 to 7 minutes. What's going to happen is the broth will create steam in the oven while the chicken is cooking and add moisture to the meat. And that's my secret. Also, very important, guys, once you take the chicken out of the oven, let it rest for 3 to 4 minutes, and this will also keep all the juices in the breast. For more tips and information on me, go to my site, gavinmurphy.com.
You put me out of my misery. I need a fix. You're my favorite drug. Can you take me high? One hit ain't enough. So light me up like a spark. Want it all tonight. I need your love. Got me going crazy. Won't you save me?
Addicted, you can't resist it. And when I'm gone, I know you miss this. I give you all of it, cause I know exactly what you wanna get. You want that love, baby? No ifs, no buts, or maybes. You want it guaranteed, and I promise I'll never leave. DJ, you gotta play this. Got my girl intoxicated, elevated, highly rated. I mean it, that's why I say it. So whenever you need that fix, call me, and I rush like a blitz. I just wanna kiss you on the lips.
I need your love. Got me going crazy. Won't you save me? Show me your love. 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 I need
welcome back to the UCW Radio Show, and we've been speaking with Ashley Teets. She is like the ultimate illustrator, and she's rocking and rolling and making magic coast to coast like butter on toast. This girl's out of control. So Ashley, we were talking about your illustration, your first illustration job. Now, what else have you done? Because we did talk about a book you were working on. What was your, what else have you done beyond from the first illustration work that you did? If that makes any sense. I confused myself with that, but you
It's okay. I think
you get the
I
point.
I understand what you were talking about, so I'm just going to start talking.
All right. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
See, we're connected. We got it.
we're simpatico.
One of the other more successful projects I've done is entitled Robot Rhymes, and it was written by Karen Teal, and it's a new age children's book is the genre that we like to call this one. It's with digital artwork, and a lot of times I've worked with watercolor, so it was kind of nice for me to use a different medium. And we've won several awards with this book. We've won Mom's Choice Awards, and more recently we won a Creative Child Magazine Award with this, so we've been very pleased with the response. This particular story was inspired by the author's late son, who was a rapper, and he was, all up on modern hip-hop culture. And she was able to take some of his rhymes that he had written and turn them into a hip-hop rhyme appropriate for children. So it teaches them about rhythm, rhyme, and kind of makes hip-hop available to them, which is something that in the market today hasn't been done. Mm-hmm. And like I said, we've had major success with the first book, and I'm currently working on the second book, which has been exciting. I just started working on it the middle of June. Mm-hmm. So that will be out this fall, so we're looking forward to that and hopefully have a similar response to this title.
Well, that's interesting. Hip-hop for kids.
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic. I've loved working on it.
Yeah, well, you're going to start walking down with your big gold chains. No, I'm joking. But it's
of course.
But it's good because
instead of a big medallion, I'm going to have the book hanging from my necklace.
There you go, a big gold book. Like, oh, hey.
It's going to be, and then I'm going to have all the awards adorning the sides. It's going to be great.
There you go. I think that's smart that they produced that book, because it allows you to connect with kids in a different way. You have to connect with kids where they understand. You can't talk at them. You have to be with them, because if you can't communicate with them, they're not going to listen. Kids.
Exactly.
Kids are smart nowadays, because you yell, scream, and so on and so forth until the kid realizes, hey, you're not going to hurt me.
Exactly. They're wising up to that fact now.
Yeah.
Almost with a different approach now.
Yeah, well, they got a phone in their hands. Say, hey, I'll make the call. But but connecting with kids on a different level is important, because you actually connect with them and have an impact on their lives moving forward, and that's what these books are doing.
Exactly, and books are one of the best ways to connect with kids, because it allows them to use their imagination and have a creative outlet. So many times in schools these days, they're taking out gym and art and music classes, and it's so detrimental, to the overall human experience, because we have an innate need to be creative and to express ourselves. And, through books and reading and then interacting with the children while you're reading with them, mm-hmm. You just can't get that experience any other way.
Yeah, that's important, and you're absolutely correct, because what they're doing in the educational system anywhere in the country, they're eliminating culture. They're eliminating things that kids, allows kids to, build character. I think, art, gym, sports, these things help them to, express themselves. And when you take that away,
it does.
Yeah, when you take it away, then you're talking about violence. You're talking about all these things happening, and this is the world we live in.
Yeah. And with, not having a creative outlet, you become somewhat, full of hostility, because you have all of this energy and this creativity that you need to express, and when you're not given the chance, it's so detrimental.
Yeah, and this is why when and I'll just throw this in here, not that it has anything to do with the show, but when I see certain competition shows, where they with singers and this and that, it gives someone a goal, something to strive for.
Yeah.
It gives them an outlet. You're a singer, you have that outlet, your voice. If you're stifled and you can't do that, it's a problem. If you're a musician, you love playing something, you have a gift for it, but you can't play it, you get stifled. It's like living in a communist state. And when you start taking that stuff away from these kids, I think it's just going to erupt at some point down the road.
You're so correct. And, like you said, with, expressing creativity, we build our culture. That's what centers culture, is creativity, and people's personal ideas, individual thoughts and actions, and to stifle any of that is just, it's awful. But with children's books and music or art or physical activity, anything, it gives them such a great chance, and we definitely need to keep up with those kind of activities and creative outlets for sure.
I believe so, and hopefully, Congress, senators, local leaders, and boards of educations anywhere in the country, they'll begin to realize it if they haven't already, and hopefully initiate some sort of plan. Or maybe somebody with a lot of money will just initiate a plan to have it, some creative like music, art, stuff like that kids can even do it after school. Something needs to get done.
Right.
Bill Gates, something needs to get done.
Something does need to get done, and Headline Books is doing its best.
Yeah.
We have a very active school show program, and we send our authors into schools, and they do creative activities to coincide with the books that they've done, and we do a lot of after school programs as well. So it's got to start somewhere, so we might as well be the start.
Well, this is a good segue into Headline Books, because doing that, you're giving back to the community, and that's something that your parents have done. And I met your mom, sweet lady. You wouldn't think that she's a fierce book person.
Oh, she is the fiercest of them all, for sure.
But she does it with a smile.
Kill him with kindness, my friend. Kill him with kindness.
There you go. Now she's been doing this. Your parents, they were doing this for a long time. They've been, So why don't you give me a little history with that and how they began Headline Books?
Well, Headline Books was first started in 1985. So she has, several years of experience, and so she does know what she's doing. But the first book that Headline Books did was about the major flood that happened in West Virginia in 1985, and it affected 50 counties statewide. And at the time, my parents owned a local newspaper. And so they did, they had all this coverage coming in and all these stories from family, friends, community leaders. And there were 7 newspapers in West Virginia that were wiped out during the flood. And my parents decided to gather up all of the news coverage from other newspapers, including theirs, and create a book called Killing Waters. And it sold to date 100,000 plus copies. And they used all the revenue from book sales to put those newspapers back up on their feet. And so, the company started with a good soul and a good purpose, and it's only continued to grow and thrive on those same values.
I like that. You have good people doing great stuff out there, and that's what life's about. You have to
Absolutely.
You have to pay it forward. You have to give something back, and I say this all the time, and sometimes so much that people begin to say, "Yeah, we know how you feel, but this is how I feel." So now Headline Books started in 1985, built up. They're doing great stuff. How many titles, if you know, how many titles has the company pushed out over the past 20-something years?
Goodness. We've got at least, a lot. we've got at least 500 plus titles, and like I said, we get anywhere from 25 to 50 submissions a week, and to date, we've won 213 national and international book awards for independent publishing, and it's just been fantastic.
Nice.
And the children's book division wasn't added until 2006. There's my mother's keen business sense kicking in. She can spot when a market's hot, and she definitely struck when the iron was hot, and had fantastic responses with all the children's books. She really knows how to choose good quality manuscripts, and it's not just the manuscript, it's the author.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was saying, good people, good literature, and you really can't go wrong with that combination.
Yeah, I mean, you need to be able to market the book, because look, you can have an author that writes well, but if they're not marketing or not marketable, it's hard to push the book the way you want to push it. Because it's not like you're a Random House, where you can just turn the key and things work out. You have to
Exactly.
you have to put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah, and it's fun that way too. And with choosing to go with an independent publisher as opposed to a big name publisher, it's personally what I think is the way to go, because you get a more personal experience with working on the project. It's really one-on-one. It's like going to a small college versus a big university.
Mm-hmm.
You get one-on-one time with the publisher and the graphic designer, and with, in my case, with the illustrator. And the more that the author is involved with the production of their book, and the more that they love it, the more they're going to want that project to succeed, and that they're going to be involved in the marketing process and want to go to conferences and do book signings and, present a product that they're proud of to the mass market.
And that's the key thing. You have to be willing to market yourself. Not a lot of people have that ability.
That's very true. It can be taught, but it's not necessarily the easiest thing to pick up on if you don't have the, a natural gift for it.
You have to.
Like I was saying,
go ahead.
It's difficult a lot of times, but you've got to love the project.
Yeah, but for any of the listeners out there that are in tune to what we're speaking about, if you're going to be an author, remember, it's just like you go to Hollywood. You can be a great actor, but if you're not out there willing to go promote the movie, how is it helping everyone? You got to be able to get in the game to help everyone, because you're writing a book, great, you have a good book, but what are you willing to do above that? You have to be willing to do above that. You got to pimp yourself out. That's the only phrase that I can come up with right now. You got to pimp yourself out a little bit.
It is. Oh, it's the perfect analogy. You got to pimp your book, and I got to pimp my artwork.
and you know what? We all know pimping ain't easy, and that's a fact.
No, it's not, my friend. No, it's not.
No. All right, so now Headline Books, recently, I believe recently you guys were announced, I think, Independent Publisher of the Year or something of that nature?
Yes, we were. We went to the Next Generation Indie Book Awards reception at the Harvard Club in New York this past May. We attended Book Expo America in New York, and this awards reception usually coincides with that major conference. And it was a complete and total shock. They actually announced it, right when we were sitting there. No one had any idea that award was even going to be given, and Headline Books, took home the prize, and
nice.
We got a really nice trophy. We set it on the table at dinner for sure.
Oh, good. You put it right. That's a centerpiece.
Oh, yeah. We had all the waitresses asking what that was for. Our neighbors at the next table, they know all about book publishing now, whether they wanted to or not.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And I'm sure that trophy is right there in the middle of your dinner table today.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It's huge, too. It's fantastic. We may have to add an addition.
I think you may have to do that, because you're going to be getting more and more awards, and I say this because I know, just meeting you personally and your mom and everyone associated with the Headline headline itself, I got a good feeling about it. And now knowing a little bit more about the story, there's no way that the world is not going to know more about what you guys are doing, what you're working on, because, I always believe good things happen for good people for the right reasons. And
I couldn't agree more.
And that's where you guys are headed. So, what I want you to do, Ashley, if you can, just tell us right now your latest project before we close out the show.
Okay. I have a book coming out that will be available in August, so in less than a month now, and it's a sequel in a series of several books, and it's entitled The Adventures of Penny and Tubbs, The Mystery of the Crystal Waterfall. And it is a story about a little girl and her cat. Penny is the little girl's name, and Tubbs obviously is her cat. And they take an adventure to Hawaii, and it's a fantastic story. I illustrated it digitally, so it was another one of my digital art projects, which I was excited about. And, it's the first book in that series, won several awards. So, again, here we're hoping for some major publicity and major awards on this second title. And like I said, it's going to be available in August, and looking forward to the release.
Oh, now, where can people find the book when it is released?
You can order it off of the Headline Books website. It's just headlinebooks.com. They're available on Amazon as well. Headline Books distributes through all of the major distributors, Baker and Taylor. And we're available in all the bookstores like Barnes & Noble. You can also order them from my personal website, which is ashleyteetsillustration.com. So we have several ways of getting them out there.
And who's the author of that book?
It's actually two authors. It's a co-author book, which was fun. Marcy May and Margaret Zerhusen are the authors. And like I said, it's the second in the series, and we're hoping for several more to follow for sure.
Well, that's good stuff. That's good stuff, Ashley. I think, what I want to do, is at some point in the future, maybe when your book comes out, or, at some point in the future, definitely bring you back on, because your career is just starting. Okay, I don't think you haven't even hit the pinnacle of where you're going to be. And that's what, we do here on this show, is we bring on established, celebrities, authors, this and that, but we also bring on, the up-and-comers, the next big things that are going to be happening. And that's why you're on this show, Miss Thang, because...
Well, that sounds fantastic. I would love to.
Yeah, so, we're going to be following your career. Now, for the benefit of the listeners, why don't you let them know how to find out more about you and how to follow you on social media and everything. And I do encourage people to stalk, but in a nice way. Okay?
Yes.
Share that information.
Like I said, my website is ashleyteetsillustration.com. I'm also on Facebook with that as well. Ashley Teets Illustration we have our own Facebook page.
Okay.
I'm also on Twitter at Ashley Teets 1, the number 1. And, like I said, I have contact information on all of those media outlets, and I'd be happy to, talk to anybody interested about illustration jobs or just the book business in general. I am young. I'm only 24, but I've been very fortunate to have a lot of industry experience at a young age, and I think that's very beneficial, especially with the authors that I work with who are first-time authors themselves, so we can kind of learn together and, just kind of grow our knowledge base simultaneously.
Yeah, well, I do encourage our listeners to go check out Ashley Teets, find out more about her, and if you are, a publishing company, an author, and you're looking for an illustrator, that is good at what she does, you definitely want to reach out to Ashley Teets, because she's the jam, the donut, the jelly, the whole 9 yards. She knows what she's doing. So you want to kind of...
thank you.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. And if I didn't feel that way, I wouldn't say it. Okay, now on that note, Ashley, thank you again for coming on the show. And for our listeners, I want you to make sure that you join us for the next show. And I know it's going to be someone interesting. Don't know who it is yet, but it will be someone interesting. But I do thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back with you next time.
Initiating shutdown sequence.
You're listening to UCW Radio. In your face.
What is your major malfunction?
So let it be written. So let it be done.
Ladies and gentlemen, my mother thanks you, my father thanks you, my sister thanks you, and I thank you.